Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our TravelJoy workshop for Magic Features, a focused deep dive on a few of the tools in the TravelJoy platform where you can magically import information. My name is Heather, and I will be your host today. I'm joined in the audience by fellow Joy makers and a few other TravelJoy employees who will be helping monitor the chat and answer questions throughout the webinar. Speaking of questions, we welcome your questions and plan to answer some of them live at the end of this webinar. So make sure you put your questions in the questions tab, which is found in the bottom right corner of your screen. You will also see the team help answer some of those questions for you during the webinar, and a big thank you in advance to the team for that assistance. Now, this webinar will move quickly, so please note that you will receive a recording of this session by email after its conclusion. You'll be able to pause, rewind, and rewatch the recording to really take in what we go over today and follow along with the recording to test out these magic features in your own account. That replay will also include the chat and the questions tab, so you can access any resources shared during the session. You may hear me repeat that this session is recorded a few times throughout the webinar for any of the folks who join a little late, but please feel free to remind any fellow agents who you may see ask in the chat. We want to make sure that you leave this webinar feeling confident and empowered to use these magic tools in TravelJoy. So along with the recording you'll receive of this webinar, please make sure you bookmark the links that I'll be sharing in the chat throughout the event, or you can grab them after the event in the recording, like I mentioned earlier. These guides will go to our TravelJoy Help Center, which is a great place to reference if you ever feel like you may need to revisit an area for more details. But if you can't find the answer, you can always reach out to our team at hello@traveljoy.com or use the blue chat button in the bottom right corner of your TravelJoy account. But now let's get into the good stuff. Today, we're diving into TravelJoy features that are so good at taking busy work off your plate that it feels like magic, which is why we call them our magic features. When something already exists, whether it's a form you've used for years, a quote, or an itinerary you just got from a supplier, you shouldn't have to recreate it from scratch. And don't worry, none of this means losing your personal touch. Everything you import stays fully editable, so the final product still looks and feels like you. You can import a form you already love using outside of TravelJoy, and it's ready to use on any future trip in seconds. You can also turn a supplier's invoice into a polished, branded TravelJoy invoice, and your client gets something clean and easy to review and pay without you retyping a single line. That brings us to the newest and most exciting piece of magic we're covering today. Forward a supplier's confirmation email straight to TravelJoy and get a client-ready proposal back in seconds. No copying, no formatting, no busy work. It's so good, we're actually starting our demos with the magic email feature. For today's demonstrations, we'll be building a proposal, invoice, and form together for my client, Nicole, who is going to Florence in April. I'm going to switch my screens and start us off with a quick pre-recorded video that I prepared ahead of time from my email inbox, where I've received the main itinerary from my supplier in Florence for Nicole. This video will show you how to start using the magic email feature, and then we're going to continue our live demonstration after the video. So bear with me just a moment while I get that video live on screen for you.
Let's say I've received an email from my supplier with my client's itinerary. Now I need to email it to TravelJoy's magic email to put this into a proposal. I'm going to hit forward and type in the magic@traveljoy.ai. The subject has my client's name, Nicole Travels, the destination, Florence itinerary. And in the itinerary, it has more trip details, so this should be matched in my account. I'll go ahead and click send. A few minutes later, we get a response from TravelJoy letting us know that the message has been received and it's asking if this is the matching trip that we intended. I do see that it matched to Nicole Travels Florence trip with the same dates in the itinerary that I forwarded. It's asking if I want to import this information from the proposal that I forwarded over to the email. And yes, I do want to create the proposal in.
All right, I do apologize that the screen was a little small. I do see that people were asking if we could zoom in on that, but unfortunately it was a pre-recorded video, so I do apologize about that. I'm going to switch my screens now into my demo account so we can continue what happens after that. All right, can I get another round of thumbs up emojis just to make sure that you guys can see my new screen okay? Perfect. All right. Now, while that video was playing, I shared a guide in the chat about the magic email feature that you can check out later, where we have more information and another video on the topic. I also shared that email address again. That's magic@traveljoy.ai, where you'll forward the emails from your email inbox. So after I click the button in the email I received from TravelJoy that reads, "Yes, create proposal in this trip," a new tab opens up in your TravelJoy account in that trip, and a proposal is generated for you based on the information in the forwarded email you sent. How magical is that? Here we see the proposal that was created for me based on the email I forwarded to TravelJoy in the video we just watched, where we see the description, the dates, the flight information, the hotels with images, and all of the activities added. All of this was created with Magic Email, saving me so much time. And there's a few important notes about this feature. It's best to ensure each TravelJoy trip includes the client's name, travel dates, and destination, and that the same details appear in any email that you forward. If details are missing or you haven't created a trip yet, that's okay. You can simply add them to the email subject or the email body. Lastly, you can forward trip details from any email address that you own. If we don't recognize your email, meaning it came from an email address not associated with your TravelJoy account, we'll ask you to connect it with your TravelJoy account so we know where your email forwards should go in the future. Even though I have 99% of the trip details already built into my proposal from the Magic Email import, there's one more item that I do need to add to it. My client was really excited about booking a private cooking class that wasn't on the original itinerary, so I booked it separately for Nicole. We can easily import the confirmation document that the supplier sent to me directly into the proposal from here using our next tool to demonstrate, Smart Proposal Magic Importer. And I will drop the guide in the chat for you now, so you can check that out after the webinar. Perfect. All I need to do is use the Copilot tool on the right-hand side of the screen, and we'll click the paperclip icon that's in the bottom left of the chat box. I'm going to zoom in really quick so you can see that. There we go. Oh no, zoomed in too close. There we go. All right, so I'll zoom in here. This paperclip icon right over here in the Copilot chat box. I'll zoom back out. So we'll click on this paperclip, and I'm going to pick the document from my supplier that I previously saved to my desktop. Once I hit enter or click the blue arrow button in the chat box here, our Copilot and Magic Importer will work together to read the document and import the information on the proposal in just a few seconds. Now, as we can see here, the cooking class was added under the correct date, which was Thursday, April 16th here. And it added all of the important information from the document about this booking. It added the title of the activity, the address that it's at, the duration of the activity, and the confirmation number, and it included a description of the activity itself. Now, the document that I uploaded didn't actually have any photos on it, but Copilot and the Magic Importer tool actually took care of importing a few photos that it believed matched what the activity was. So again, something so magical and saves you so much time in your workflow. The supplier for this cooking class actually provided me with a special form that the client needs to complete before they attend. And I want to have them complete this in TravelJoy. So next, we're going to walk through how to create a TravelJoy form template from an outside source. And here is the guide for that if you want to read more about it after the webinar. And now is also a good time to remind anyone who joined a little bit late that this webinar is recorded, and you will receive the recording after the webinar has concluded, and the recording will include the chat and the questions tab and all of the resources being shared, so you can access those after the webinar has ended. All right, so now to build this form template, we're going to head back to our dashboard by clicking in the top left corner of our screen on Home. And from there, we're going to go under on the left-hand side, Templates and Forms. Now in here, I'm going to look on the right-hand side and use the button to add template, because this is a custom form directly coming from the supplier that is special for this trip. Now, all I have to do is use the Form Magic Importer box here to upload the file that is on my desktop that I downloaded from the supplier. It came in a PDF form. I saved it onto my desktop, so I'm going to upload it here. Now, once we upload it, TravelJoy's Magic Importer tool then reads the document to see what it can match in a TravelJoy format. And it only takes a few seconds, but when it reads it, it's going to take the information it sees and matches it to the format that is going to be most applicable in TravelJoy so the client can fill it out. And now we got a successful message letting us know how many items were imported, what types of fields were imported, and it even lets us know if any of the fields were imported and linked to client profile fields. It also reminds us to review for accuracy, so let's review that together. We see that it added a title to the form template. We have the contact information, and these three fields were automatically linked as a client profile field, meaning when the client fills out these fields, it's automatically going to sync to their client profile. Scrolling further down, we see it added the question for dietary information in a text box field. And we have preference questions, so multiple choice questions for a wine preference during the cooking class and which dish that Nicole would like to cook during this class. So everything looks perfect compared to the form that I imported. So all I have to do is hit the blue save button on the right-hand side. And now I am ready to send this off to Nicole once I go back into her trip. So let's do that. We'll go back to the dashboard on the left-hand side. And scroll back down into Nicole's Florence, Italy trip. Now, let's review our final magic feature of the day together, which is our Invoices Magic Importer. I'll put our last guide in the chat for you. Now, since I already booked Nicole's Florence trip, I have the supplier document with all of the trip details and pricing that I need to turn into a TravelJoy invoice. To start building this invoice, I'm going to use the blue Create button on the right-hand side, and I'm going to select Invoice Supplier because I only need to collect credit card authorizations from Nicole for this trip. Now, instead of having to manually copy and paste everything over from my document, I can use our final Magic Importer tool that's located here on the invoice. I'm going to upload that file that I have from my desktop. And then TravelJoy automatically pulls in the important details from that document. Things like package details, dates, confirmation numbers, deposits, and final payments, just to name a few items. This import will generate a clean branded invoice in just a few moments, saving you tons of time and effort. Once it's done, you're going to want to review the results for accuracy, and then it's ready to send out to the clients to collect their payments. And first, you'll notice we get a confirmation message letting us know that what we're importing can be matched to TravelJoy invoice item templates. So if we want to, we can have the import actually apply to TravelJoy invoice templates, which does make it a little bit easier for you in reporting and tracking down the road. So I'll go ahead and click Apply Templates. In just another moment, we have a successful import message letting us know what has been imported, and again reminds us to review for accuracy. So let's take a look together. We see on that document, all of the package information has been imported here. We have the total package price added in the invoice item at the top. And when we scroll down, we see that the custom payment schedule has been added, and the deposit that was already paid on August 1st has already been marked as paid because my document indicated that it was already paid. So TravelJoy Magic Importer read that it was paid on there and made sure that the status was indicated as such. We have the custom payment schedule all the way down to the final payment and all of those dollar amounts that's needed for the payment schedule. So everything looks perfect to me. All I need to do in the top right corner, click on the blue next button and hit save so that I can send this out to Nicole a little bit later. All right, so that is a wrap on today's magic. We now have our invoice, proposal, and a custom form template created and ready to send out to the client in less than 30 minutes, all with the help of TravelJoy's Magic Email and Magic Importer tools. We started with forwarding a supplier confirmation email straight to TravelJoy and watching a full proposal come together on its own. From there, we showed you how you can use Magic Importer alongside Copilot to upload a supplier document directly into a proposal, so nothing has to be typed by hand. We also walked through building a form template in seconds with Magic Importer and wrapped up by turning a supplier document into a polished branded invoice ready for your client to review and pay with Invoice Magic Importer. 4 tools, 1 goal, less busy work for you, leaving more time for the parts of the job only you can do, connecting with your clients. I'm going to take a quick sip of water and pull up the questions that have come in so I can start answering some of these live with the time that we have remaining. So bear with me just a moment. Thank you so much to the team that has answered questions so far. I'm seeing great comments in here. Love that. All right, someone asked if there was an additional charge to use any of these magic features, and no, there is no additional charge to use these. These are included in our standard, pro, or premium plans at this time. All right, let's see. Someone is asking, what if you have 2 unrelated roommates for a booking? How would you handle those invoices? In that case, what you would want to do is create 2 separate invoices. Now, you can still use the importer tool to create the invoices, but you'll want to create 2 separate ones. And at the time of creation, let me open this back up. At the time of creation and before you send it out to the client, you can scroll down into the settings here. And we have a field here for client. So if I had more than 1 client, and let me zoom in here to make sure you can see it. There we go. We have this client field. If you have more than 1 client on a trip, you'll be able to use this drop-down field to change the client that this invoice is assigned to, because you'll want each client who is paying for themselves to have their invoice assigned to them. Now, I know that if you have 1 document with the total package price for both of them, it might be a little difficult to separate these payment schedules and the total package cost, but you can still use the importer to get all of the information and the actual payment schedule itself. And then if needed, you can actually divide up or click to edit the pricing on here if you need to change that and let's say divide it in half for each of the roommates. And same thing, you'll click the next button and save and send that out to each of the roommates. All right. How should we handle quotes where a decision has not yet been made? Continue copying and pasting. Well, if you have quotes or documents from suppliers that you need to send to the client and still get an approval for, when you are forwarding it from the email, it's automatically going to come in as a SMART proposal, as you'll notice here. It's not going to be an itinerary. So because it's coming over as a SMART proposal, that means when you send it to the client, it's still going to ask for their approval. If it came over as an itinerary or when you create an itinerary, it doesn't ask for an approval from the client. So you're still able to use the magic email tool to forward over any documents that you have from a supplier if you want to quote that to the client or propose it to them. You can still open up your SMART proposal and still add in the documents like we did with the Copilot and Magic Importer tool over here. So you don't need to copy and paste thing. You can still use all of these magic tools, even if the client hasn't made their final decision. As long as you have a document from a supplier that you can upload, you can absolutely use these magic tools to help you build your SMART proposal to get it over to the client and get that approval. All right, great questions here. Make sure all your questions are put in the questions tab so we can go through these. I'm going to go through some of these ones that are being answered already by the team. Let's see. So someone asked, when you sent the supplier proposal to the magic@traveljoy.ai, what address did you say it had to come from? So it's going to be best to forward any of the supplier documents from the email address that's associated with your TravelJoy account. If you're not sure which email is associated with your account, it's going to be the email address that you use to log in, but you can always confirm that under your settings and account page, and that's where you can find the email address here. So if you can get those documents into that email inbox or have the supplier make sure it goes there, or if you're grabbing it from a website that you need to send to yourself first, you'll want to send it to this email inbox and then you can forward it to the TravelJoy email inbox. Now, that's going to be the best option. However, if you have an alternate email address that still belongs to you, meaning you can access that email inbox and it's your own login information, you can still forward information over from that email. You're just going to get a pop-up when you log into your TravelJoy account, or I believe when you click the confirmation email, you'll get a pop-up asking if you want to link that email address to your TravelJoy account so that any future emails that you're using in the Magic email tool can automatically be forwarded with this account. And there are more details about that in the guide that I shared in the chat a little bit earlier. So make sure you check that out. You can either grab those links now, or you can grab those links in the recording you'll receive after the webinar concludes. You can get those links in the chat tab because that's accessible in the recording. Let's see. Oh, if you have several options on your SMART proposal, yep, you can still do that. Now, when we go into a proposal, it's not going to automatically import with options, but we do have the options feature on SMART proposals. Let me go back in here. So you can still import information if you have it from your supplier and the client hasn't made their decision yet on where they want to go. But if you want to import information, either using the Copilot and Magic Importer or forward it from the email or Magic email, you can still have everything, loaded in just like this. And then you can add an options section. Now that gets added to the bottom, but when it gets added, anything that was previously uploaded, you can simply drag and drop it into the options here. So if you have multiple hotels that you want to offer to your client, multiple activities, multiple cruises, anything that you import, you can then just add an options section and drag and drop those right into the options to send out to the client, and then they can select the option that they want to move forward with, and that will be on your finalized itinerary in TravelJoy. Will the process be the same for direct? I'm assuming this is asking for the direct invoices and if you can still use the Magic Importer. And yes, you can still use Magic Importer on direct invoices. It will work the same. All right, the most recent question that came in, wanted to create a sample itinerary that I can post on my webpage to promote travel. Is it better to use a link to a smart proposal or to a travel itinerary? If so, is there a way to modify this so it is generic and does not have questions, etc. on this? So this is a great question. We typically don't advise on sending specific links from trips on your website just because that creates a public link, but that link then can be accessed back to that original trip it was created in. So there's a little bit of nuances when you create it that way, but we have some workarounds that we can offer. So I actually suggest reaching out to us directly at hello@traveljoy.com with this question. We'd be happy to provide you with some more resources on how you can set that up in your account. All right, let's read through some of these other questions that came in here. Okay, someone asked, for the invoice, did you just upload a supplier invoice or confirmation, meaning the same thing you sent for the proposal? Yes, it was basically the same document, and I wish I could show you guys, the document that was uploaded, but it was essentially the same document that was in my email in the video at the beginning of the webinar that was forwarded over to the magic@traveljoy.ai. That document was able to import and create this smart proposal. And then I used that same document with pricing to import it into the invoice so that it added the exact same details that's found here on the proposal, and then it created the payment schedule with it. Now, please keep in mind that the documents that were used for the webinar here were all generated for the purpose of a demonstration today. So your documents might look a little bit differently coming from your suppliers, but you are able to, finagle it, work around it. If you want to combine documents you receive from your supplier, if they send you one document with the payment schedule, one document with the itinerary, and you want to combine them or send them both into TravelJoy, you can try and do that. And then let us know if you run into any issues. Of course, these are newer features, so we welcome any and all feedback that you have about these features so that we can continue to improve them for you in the platform, making sure that you have the most magical experience as possible. All right. We are now running out of time here, so I do want to wrap up. Thank you all so much for joining our webinar today on all of the TravelJoy Magic features. Like I mentioned before, you will receive a copy of the recording of this webinar, including the chat and questions tab and all of the resources shared. So you can revisit those at any time and rewatch the recording at any time if you need to revisit any of these topics. If you do want to learn a little bit more, you can visit the guides shared in the chat throughout the webinar, or you can reach out to our team at hello@traveljoy.com or use the blue chat button in the bottom right corner of your TravelJoy account to reach the Joymaker team to assist with any questions you might have about these features. Thank you all again for joining. We hope to see you in future workshop webinars held almost every Thursday. Feel free to register for future sessions on any additional topic. And I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday and early weekend. Take care, everybody.